Welcome to the Airlift Workshop, where you get expertise from the air suspension specialists, keeping you on the road and in top condition for over 70 years. Today we'll be demonstrating the installation of our LoadLifter 5000 Air Spring kit on a Ford Raptor. Installation may take up to 2.5 hours to complete using common mechanics tools. Remember, this video does not replace your installation guide, so grab yours out of the box and let's get started. Lift the vehicle and support the frame with safety stands. Drop the axle down low enough to later set the air springs into position between the frame and the axle. Using a pair of side cutters or equivalent, cut the webs of the harness brackets between the connector and axle. Then, by pushing on the release lever, pull the connector's lock out flush with the control arm bracket. Unbolt the jounce bumpers and save. Once assembled, the upper frame bracket will be a left and right-hand unit. Set the brackets in front of you in a mirror image and install the frame adapters using the socket head cap screws. Align the brackets so the holes in the middle line up and torque the hardware to 19 pound-feet. Ensure the socket head cap screw indexes into the forward hole in the frame. Install the upper bracket assemblies under the frame with the button head cap screw and flat washer using the jounce bumper mounting holes. Torque hardware to 36 pound-feet. Insert the carriage bolts down through the top of the upper bracket. Let's assemble the air springs. Set a roll plate over the top of the air spring. Install the swivel fitting into the air port on the air spring. Tighten the fitting 1.5 turns past finger tight. Set the upper air spring bracket onto the air spring, making sure the large hole is aligned with the fitting. Install the bracket using the button head cap screws and torque to no more than 20 pound-feet. Set the air spring assemblies into position under the upper brackets, using the carriage bolts to align the brackets. Cap carriage bolts with flat washers and nylon lock nuts. Torque the hardware to 31 pound-feet. Using the hardware in the Universal Cradle kit, insert the hex cap screws through the flat washers, the lower brackets, and through the cradles. Flip the assemblies over and cap the bolt with a flat washer and thin nylon lock nut. This will be your left lower bracket assembly for the lower bracket with equal legs. Push the cradle all the way back into the slot and torque the lower bracket hardware to 15 pound-feet. The lower bracket with the unequal legs will be your right lower bracket. The cradle should be pushed back into the slot in the correct position, so it is properly aligned when installed on the axle. Torque the hardware with the cradle all the way back in the slot of the lower bracket. With the axle still hanging down, set the left side assembly onto the axle, making sure the cradle is offset to the back of the vehicle. Insert the outboard side U-bolt into the mounting leg of the bracket. Insert the inside U-bolt into the inboard lower bracket mounting holes. Install a P-clamp around the front wiring harness and then over the inside front U-bolt. Cap all 4 posts of the U-bolts with flat washers and nylon lock nuts. Draw the hardware down, but leave it loose enough for the bracket to still move on the axle. Set the right side lower bracket assembly over the axle with the cradle offset to the back of the vehicle. Install the P-clamp to the front wiring harness and all the hardware, ensuring the bracket is a slightly loose fit to the axle. Raise the axle all the way up so the air springs sit in the cradles. Rotate the lower bracket forward and back on the axle to align the lower cradle with the air spring and upper bracket. Remove the safety stands and jack. Check the wiring harness to axle bracket clearance on the front side of the axle where the P-clamps were installed. If the harness touches the bracket on either side, bend the P-clamp out to gain clearance. Check the hard brake line clearance to the lower bracket mounting leg and adjust the line if necessary so as not to rub the bracket. To install the air lines, begin by choosing locations for the Schrader valves. Insert the airline thermal sleeve over the right side airline before inserting it into the fitting on the air spring. Secure it away from the exhaust. Make clean, square cuts with a razor blade or hose cutter when cutting the airline. After cutting the airline to length, insert it into the fitting. Use zip ties to secure the airline to fixed points along the chassis. Do not pinch or kink the airline, Leave at least 2 inches of slack in the airline to allow for any movement that might pull on the airline. Install the Schrader valve in the chosen location. That does it. Remember, you can find more information about all of our products at airliftcompany.com. And our knowledgeable customer service team is always just a phone call away. Thanks for joining us in the Airlift Workshop.